Hi, and congratulations on completing week 2, Understanding Old Testament Narrative Part 1. Now, all of your assignments should be graded at some point, if not Tuesday morning, Tuesday afternoon. I've already had a good start. I've got a couple of more to finish while I'm filming this, but those will be out at some point on, Tuesday for you guys to watch. Our goals for this week were to apply interpretive methods in the evaluation of a narrative text, to develop a personal interpretive methodology, or at least to get started on that. We'll continue that in weeks 3 through 8, and then to evaluate the tension between divine inspiration and classic narrative storytelling. Talking too fast. So we had 2 assignments and a discussion post for 3 assignments this week. The first was to explore likeness in a word study. And on whole, folks did a very good job. A couple of assignments didn't catch every use of the word likeness, and that's kind of a big no-no, so those got marked off a bit. The other place that I was really looking carefully, at least between a low A and a high A, was the contextual look at likeness. And in the same passage, we have Selim and Demut, likeness and image. And those are used really synonymously in the passage Genesis 1:26. And I wanted, a really high A paper should not only explore every use of likeness, but then should double back and say, okay, well, now that I understand likeness, I want to look at Selim, which is image, and complete this view of God, and then discuss how they think, or how you think, this idea of image and likeness. What is our human relationship to God in the way of image and likeness? So what is likeness? Is it physical image? Is it a spiritual image? Is it an intellectual image? And I wanted, after you did your exploration, to try and really look into the idea of how do we resemble God. And an A+ paper, or a 99 or a 100 paper, really should have also then looked outside the assignment into additional academic research onto what others have argued the image and likeness of God versus humanity looks like. I wanted context, not just the use of the word. I wanted a full explanation of the passage Demut and Selim. I wanted you to look at ties to the New Testament, and then outside research in a Bible dictionary, not a regular dictionary, to better understand the word. So as we do a full word study, it's really a lot of work. And I think that folks did really well, and that we had a tremendous amount of A minus, B pluses. But I'm trying to be a little bit stingy with the A pluses, because I want you to learn to dig deeper. And I think that, just another quick side note, people are beginning to learn that a bachelor's in biblical studies, or a bachelor's at Moody, is so much more than just a Bible study. That we're really learning how to learn as much as we are exploring the book of Genesis. Because this is not an overview course. We're not trying to just give you an overview of the Bible. We're trying to teach you how to dive into the Bible and ask new and perhaps unfamiliar questions of the biblical text in order to come to a deeper understanding. And part of that is to make you uncomfortable. I want you not just to explore an evangelical position, which is where we perhaps have all grown up, but to ask questions, or at least listen to others ask questions that make us uncomfortable, and then move to a deeper understanding of the text through our interpretation. All right, so that was a lot of side note. So assignment 2.2, context. I wanted an essay that, after completing the reading incline and Folkelman write a 2 to 3 page paper summarizing the proper way to complete a contextual study of the passage. Be sure to include an introduction and conclusion. And again, the class average was really good on this assignment. In fact, I was really pleased. I told my wife that this class is a very high level class, and I'm excited to see it. You're all inquisitive, knowledgeable, well spoken, and it makes, as a professor, it makes it fun for me to engage with you folks. So I'm really tickled, and I think that this assignment shows the high functioning of the class. At a minimum, I wanted to see identification of different forms of context: immediate context, literary context, and historical context. These are essential building blocks, kind of the foundation of a house that we then build our interpretation upon. If you don't understand how the passage before, the passage after, the language, and the history of the author impact the writing of the text, then it's easy for us to get off message. But if we understand those pieces, then it's very helpful. And then I wanted interaction with the reading through quotes and references, and a thorough discussion of each form of the context. I wanted interaction and discussion around different biblical passages, and an example from immediate, how that helps, literary, how understanding that would help a specific passage, and a historical context, how that helps a specific passage. So I wanted support from the reading. I wanted support from the Bible. And then finally, not mentioned here, but I want support from outside research, either through a study Bible or a journal that you found, or an academic website, not a popular website, but an academic website, or another textbook or another class. So I'm wanting you to begin to integrate each of these assignments with outside research. And then finally, in your opinion, does the biblical author's use of narrative components like plot, character development, and dialogue diminish the authority of Scripture? And where I was trying to go with this is, how did inspiration, or what are the guidelines of inspiration? Is God giving the author a word-for-word account that the author is just dutifully writing down, or did God inspire a general message and a general story and give the author the leeway to pick the words that are used in writing? Now, you could pick one or the other. Either is a true evangelical position, but then I wanted you to dig a little deeper, which is, why do you feel that way? If you think that God inspired a word-for-word translation, what do you base that on? And Sunday school is great, but that's not what I'm looking for. Where is our ultimate authority? And that was where I thought we missed a little on this. Is that, what are we, when tough questions come up, how do we answer them? And I think our first choice is to go to the Bible and say, I believe this because the Bible tells me so, and it tells me so right here. Here is my reference, that in Exodus blank blank, God came to Moses and said, write these words down. Well, that would be a pretty good thing, that God told Moses to write what I'm telling you down. All right, I can live with that. Or, like the Apostle Paul, is he writing under the inspiration, not because God is standing on his shoulder and saying, write this letter to the Corinthians, but he is guiding him in a general way and letting the Apostle Paul choose his own words? And if so, where in the Bible can you find that? And I think that's easy to find as well. And so I think the best answer is that God moves in different ways with different authors. That with Moses, we have evidence that at times God told Moses what to write, 10 Commandments, write these down. But at other times, God inspired Moses to write on his own experience and perhaps his own knowledge. And then we have to say, well, that both of these at different times might very well be true. And then how do we analyze the text based upon that biblical authority? So I hope that explains a little bit of my thought process on the discussion. The clear things we know is the Bible is inerrant, meaning that it is inspired by God and is truthful, and truthful not only in the Word but into our lives. That the Holy Spirit is part of that interpretation process, and that the Bible is our first authority on what is true and what is not true. Then we move from there to perhaps Spurgeon or some of the other heroes of the faith, and other commentaries to understand more about the text. So that was longer than I needed to go on that part. Some keys, real questions, has two parts. How much input into the message does the human author have? And do stories have to be historically accurate, or are they illustrative of a message? And a great example of that is Genesis 1, that talks about the creation of the earth. Is that intended to be hyperbole or in some ways poetic and use figurative language, or is it intended that a day is in fact a 24-hour period? And it should be taken as a narrative account and literally. And actually, if you look at different biblical interpretations, they will either indent Genesis 1 on both sides, meaning it is like the Psalms should be considered poetically, or do they pull it out and make it look like they're writing a narrative text, in which case you know that the author of that Bible series is taking it literally or figuratively. And we can talk about that more if someone wants to. So next, biblical support. I wanted you to not only give your opinion, but base your opinion in evidence, and then interaction with the reading, a different type of evidence, and then add your personal reflection and application. Finally, I was looking for discussion over multiple sessions. So that was what I was looking for on the discussion. And then finally, thank you for all the good work this week. Scores continue to be very high, and I appreciate the efforts and the amount of work that the class is putting into these assignments. So have a great day. Looking forward to week 3, and I'll talk to you soon.